In this question, they tell us that the same ratio of cheese pizza to pepperoni pizza slices remains constant. So we have to look at what they give us to start with, which is we have 6 cheese slices and 15 pepperoni slices. This means we have a total of 21 slices. Here, each one of the squares represents the slice of pizza. So the ratio of the yellow to the red, there's 6 yellow squares and 15 red ones. If I want to simplify my ratio, I could divide everything by 3. This is an equivalent ratio, 2 to 5 to 7, just like when you reduce fractions. So this picture shows the 2 to 5 to 7 ratio of cheese to pepperoni to the total. This cannot be reduced further without having fractions. So my picture shows that the cheese pizza is 2/5 of the pepperoni pizza. And we can show a picture for that. So it's the same picture but separated slightly. So now what they did is they gave us that they would like our total for the cheese slices to be 8, but our ratio to remain the same. So that means I need to have 8 cheese slices. So those 2 yellow blocks equal 8. This means that each block would be equal to 4. Now I need to figure out how much pepperoni I have. So if each block is equal to 4, then 5 times 4 will give me 20 slices of pepperoni. And that means I have 28 total. Now in this problem, still looking at the ratio of the cheese to the pepperoni, we could actually come up with an equation here saying that the yellow is 2/5 of the red. The next problem they give us here is they tell us that the pepperoni is 13 3/4, but they'd like the ratios to remain the same. In other words, they need to reduce down to the 2 to the 5 to the 7. So this time I'm going to set the red squares equal to 13 3/4. So I have 5 red squares, so I need to figure out the value of each red square. So 5 times x will equal 13 3/4. And if I solve that, I need to divide both sides by 5. And this is where some of you have problems with your fractions. So I need to change 13 3/4 into an improper fraction, which would be 55/4. And then I need to change division to multiplication and flip the 5 to the reciprocal 1/5. Multiply. And since the 5 and the 55 have a common factor of 5, I could reduce 5 goes into 5 once and 5 goes into 55 11 times, giving me 11/4. So 11/4 is the value of each of the squares. So to figure out how much cheese pizza you're going to have, you have to take 2 times that 11/4, giving you 22/4 or 5 1/2. So that equals the cheese, and the total would be the all 7 multiplied by 11/4 is equal to 19 1/4. So that would give us the answer. These ones are a little more challenging because they have the fractions in them. So you could do it that way with your tape diagram, or you could use the equation we looked at earlier, which is that the cheese is 2/5 of the pepperoni. And since we know pepperoni is 13 3/4, and we use the equation, plugging in 13 3/4 for P would give us the 2/5 times 13 3/4. Again, changing to improper, multiplying, reducing, we would end up with 11/2 or 5 1/2 for our amount of pepperoni pizza.